Hello, my swan friends. I'm positive I just did a reading for you. So I'm really wondering why we're here again. But we'll get to that. First off, the swan is, of course, a member of the water element. Let me get to the page. It would be so much easier if they put page numbers, and well, there are page numbers, but if there was a table of contents, perhaps I'll make one, because this is just silly. All right, swan, effortless creativity, sensitive mystic, elegant power. Elegant power, that's different. So we're not talking about brute force here, although swans are known for their strength. They are always elegant. Okay, the swan represents heightened creativity in Hindu mythology. Oops, I read that sentence wrong. The swan represents heightened creativity. In Hindu mythology, the goddess Saraswati, the embodiment of language, creativity, and artistry, rides on the back of this graceful creature. The swan is ready to take us there, to the fluid realm of writing, creating, and reflecting. This potent and healing energy is not to be taken for granted or taken lightly. When the swan card appears, your soul is calling for attention, for solo time. An inner voice is waiting to be heard, an inner vision likely to be revealed. So I think we're talking about intuition here. Intuition and creativity. When in balance, infinite creative power. When out of balance, agitated, snippy, lacking vision. To bring into balance, solo time and writing. So I think you need some introspection. I think you need some boredom, frankly. Boredom is really wonderful for creativity, which is an odd thing I learned in the past several years. So yeah, spend some time being alone. And by being alone, I don't mean that your phone is on and you're doom scrolling or you're watching TV or it's in the background even. We're looking for boredom here. So as little stimulation as possible. And wait and see what rises to the surface of your mind. So now when we look, these cards, of course, are to help you decide if this reading is for you or not. So maybe these issues speak to you, maybe they don't. Be careful, do not take risks. That was the first one out. Next we have unicorn, use your intuition for beneficial changes. Then we have the rabbit, too much concern with sexual matters. Grasshopper, situations that require careful handling. Then we have cat, a two-faced friend. And finally, honor and respect will come to you. So it looks like you have some really big goals that you want honor and respect. Yeah, the sexual card is interesting. Perhaps you are hypersexual or you struggle with that. I know that is, I wouldn't say common exactly, but not unusual for people with ADHD. And of course there are other people and other conditions that might create hypersexuality or contribute to it. But yes, you have, it looks like something challenging going on. You need to be really careful. You have a friend who is not really a friend. Perhaps you know that already. And if you really want things to turn out well, I think you're going to have to listen to your intuition. We're having a storm here, so you may be hearing the wind. Maybe your life feels like a storm right now. In any case, to hear what your intuition is trying to tell you, you need some stillness. You need some quiet time. You need some boredom. So turn off all the electronics, all the other stimuli. Perhaps you can be bored sitting in a chair. Perhaps you need to go out in nature to be bored, or alone. In any case, I pulled another card from the Illustrated Herbiary deck, and you got the Inner Sanctum, which I know I also got this pretty recently too. So that's kind of strange. I don't remember if they came out together like this. But obviously the Inner Sanctum is talking about some solo time, protecting your solo time, protecting your So there's a song that keeps coming to mind. It's called Sanctify Yourself, or those are the words that I remember, sanctify yourself. So that would be perhaps purifying yourself, or treating your body like a temple, maybe. Maybe that's what the protection is about. Protecting yourself. I'm definitely seeing some need for boundaries here. All right, let's see what the card has to say. Inner Sanctum. Sweet, sweet violet sings of sun and springtime, carpeting meadows and lawns with lush purple petals. But this glorious show is mere flirtation. Her true abundance comes in autumn, when quietly and with little fanfare she shares her seed with the earth, setting the stage for next spring's performance. Violet has no trouble separating public from private. She knows both of their place and season. She's the gossip column socialite who quietly works in a soup kitchen on Wednesdays, knowing life's most important work isn't always done in the public eye. So perhaps you're a little overconcerned with the public, what other people think of you. Interesting. Now, the real question, why are you here? I think I'm going to pull a different deck for this. Why are you here? Why are you here watching this reading? I feel like a lot of similar cards, or the same cards even, are coming up in reading after reading lately. I do shuffle them. More than that, I put them back in the deck separately. And I take pains to... So if you tap the deck on a table or something, it helps to break up any sort of adhesion between the cards so they won't stick together and come out, and the same ones won't keep coming out together. Of course, I don't put them back in together, so how could they do that? But here we are. So why are you here? What message do you need to hear? It hit my tumbler and made it sound like a bell. Okay. So, your first row, we have hummingbird, waterfall, heart and mind. So the waterfall can be overflowing abundance. And the hummingbird is definitely a sign of good things, good times, resilience, enjoyment, being present. But the waterfall is also a time of, we'll go with that. A release, emotional release, crying, of course, water, tears. And then the final card is heart and mind, compassionate wisdom, emotional intelligence. So becoming much more whole, much more in touch with yourself, your heart, and your mind coming together. Maybe finally, for the first time, really talking to each other. And then we have something's coming, someone's coming, an opportunity is coming, an invitation, a transition, something is coming. The next one is a rule breaker. Someone who is willing to think outside the box, who does think outside the box perhaps, or at least is feeling a bit defiant. Perhaps struggling with that Eight of Swords, or maybe finally conquering that Eight of Swords, the limitations of society. I should say society, family, and community. And maybe there is something, again, we have this, something's coming. It's out of control, and it will wipe away everything, change the entire landscape, at least temporarily. Pretty suddenly, too. Maybe you think this is coming, and that's why you're here. Then we have the crow, the double rainbow, and the firefly. These are all wonderful cards. So you really think that things are going to change, that you are going to change, or you have changed, are changing. You are in the midst of self-discovery. You see yourself as a problem solver, and yet there's this power beyond your control, the avalanche. And here the double rainbow representing divine intervention. So finally, perhaps a recognition that there is more to this than yourself. This illumination, this sudden discovery, soul spark, creative spark. Perhaps seeing the magic in life for the first time, or the first time in a long time. I am curious about this, something's coming. What do we need to know? All right, so you do have a setback or a complication in your life. Once again, we have the rabbits and this implication of some sort of sexual issue. Hopefully it's not an infection, but maybe it is. I'm not seeing any other health cards. There's an obstacle, a setback. Let's see what Tarot has to say about this obstacle or setback. And what does it have to do with sexuality? I'm sticking with sexuality because that came out with your tea leaves, so it's been repeated now. It's confirmed. I'm not sure whether that's supposed to be upright or not, so we'll have to take a look at that. So, the Page of Swords wants reciprocity, or lacks reciprocity, with the Queen of Cups. Got bad news for you, Page of Swords. The Queen of Cups has a lot of emotional intelligence and can see right through you. So with the Swords cards, there's always the issue of honesty when they're in reverse. It's dishonesty. When it's in the upright, they're very honest. I'm not sure what order these came out in, but here we go. Eight of Cups. Three of Pentacles. Eight of Cups is in reverse, so perhaps a return, perhaps. Three of Pentacles. Working together, collaborating. But this King of Cups is in reverse. Very much in control of their emotions. Perhaps they still need to learn some lessons. Perhaps you need to let go of this whole situation for the time being. I mean, this looks like what you're thinking about a lot. But everything else in your reading says you need to listen to your intuition, and the only way for you to listen to your intuition is to spend some alone time to try and see things from a different perspective. So maybe it's time for you to let this all go. If it's meant to return, it will. You have divine intervention, perfect timing. Perhaps now is not the time to obsess on this stuff. If there is a sexual problem, you need to deal with that. If it's an addiction, that's something that you need to deal with. If it's an illness, Priestess. The High Priestess is... I'm not going to go there. I don't like it. Anyway. It looks like you see this Queen of Cups as also having many High Priestess qualities. I don't assign gender to these cards to even, regardless of the name or the image. So this can either, any of these people can be in a male or female body. All right, so High Priestess, this is someone who knows, who receives the wisdom of the universe, who may not share it. The High Priestess is good at keeping their secrets. And I could definitely see this Queen of Cups doing that. They are perceptive, they understand, they have high emotional intelligence, but they may not be talking about what they're seeing. They may not be telling you what they're seeing in you. So you may think that they don't know what's going on. And maybe they know more than you think. The High Priestess card suggests that you suspect they know more than they think. They know more than you think. But the real issue here is that your focus is not on yourself. So you remember, we have solo time. We have the Sweet Violet with the Inner Sanctum. Maybe what you should be doing is working on developing your own High Priestess. Regardless of whether you are male or female, this is an aspect of yourself that needs to be developed. All of the cards in Tarot, and the Major Arcana especially, and the Court cards, represent aspects of a whole, fully functional human being. This is why I don't say it doesn't matter whether you're male or female, because you need to integrate all of these things. Or develop all of these things, depending on where you're at. So we had this business about you developing your intuition. Of course, the High Priestess is very intuitive. So if you've been neglecting that aspect of yourself, that may be where the problem lies. This stuff doesn't matter until you get yourself sorted out. And if you can't get yourself sorted out, well, you can. Everybody can change. It's just a matter of, are you going to demonstrate and use strength and persistence? Even if you're soulmates, even if you believe you have a soul connection with this person, or maybe especially if you believe you have a soul connection with this person, the first thing you have to do is develop yourself. You even have it here with the Page of Swords, a need to learn more. You can't change anybody other than yourself, but you can change yourself if you want to. If you are brave enough, if you are strong enough. I know there are many people out there who feel that getting help is a sign of weakness. It's not. Getting help is a sign of courage. It's a sign of humility. Humility is not a bad thing. So, getting help is just seriously underrated. And it can definitely speed things up a lot too, if that's of concern to you. I'm not going to read what the book has to say about soulmates, because I think it's pretty obvious what's going on here. Regardless of your soul connection, or your belief in a soul connection. You have to take care of yourself and develop yourself, especially if this is what you want. So, I'm going to leave it here. I'm wishing you all the best.